Hey there, it's Marley Major. Before we dig in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell because you definitely don't want to miss another glorious disaster here on Every Day's a Train Wreck. Because missing an episode, now that would be a train wreck. Let's get to it. Hi there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Every Day's a Train Wreck. I'm your host, Marley Major, and I am so excited that you are joining me for this, and it will air on Christmas Eve for those of you who celebrate that. And today's episode is all about what luxury hotels get right and how you can steal it for your holiday entertaining, because why not poach a good idea, right? So I'm taping this episode from the Sofitel Metropole Hotel in Hanoi because I am here. I was the head speaker or the keynote speaker at Vinh University in Hanoi, which is in Vietnam, which is the most amazing place. A whole other thing on that later. But I was talking about the future of AI, and I thought, why not tape the podcast here from this beautiful, magical hotel room? And then I thought there's so many things here and ideas that we can all learn as hosts and hostesses, whether it's for the holidays or for anything else. And I thought, I'm going to share some of these tips. We'll just kind of use this as a little case study. So one of the things that makes luxury is people feel like it's excess, like it's gilding the lily, right? Like, oh, something has to look so like overdone, or it's so fancy, or it's so, and that's not really the case. To me, luxury and how luxury, whether it's travel, entertaining, etc., has evolved is it is not about excess. It's about something much quieter, which is anticipation. And anticipation is something that it takes a lot of experience to get in the service industry, right? It takes experience because you've got to be able to anticipate what the guest is thinking, sometimes before even they are thinking, even before they know what they want, right? And you've got to have this component of empathy. And you've got to put yourself in their shoes in terms of, okay, I mean, this hotel is in Hanoi in Vietnam. Now I live in Los Angeles, as you all probably know. And so to get here is not easy. I have to go Los Angeles to Hong Kong, which is a 16-hour flight, give or take, on the way out, and then stop in Hong Kong, and then take another 2.5-hour flight to Hanoi. So you can imagine anybody coming from the States to Asia is going to have had a long flight. And just knowing that people, are going to be coming in at all different times, right? And so I might come in at night, but it's breakfast for me. Or when you come and check in, they can just see that you're completely tired and exhausted. And I didn't even know my own name when I checked in. And they automatically are like, oh, would you like some warm tea? And they give you this tea. And anybody who knows me knows that I seem to go everywhere with a to-go cup. So bless them, because the tea was so good and so refreshing that they actually asked, going back to the anticipation component, whether I would like a paper coffee container to take it back to my room, because they could see I wasn't finished with it yet. And quite frankly, I didn't want to part with it. It was like my little snuggly blanket. Now, the thing about luxury hotels and events is that they remove friction. They remove anything that makes you, I don't know exactly how to say it. Like, you guys will have to watch this on YouTube, maybe, so you can see my gestures. But anything that at an event, I can see a guest when, as soon as they start to like tilt their head, right, and start looking, that's when I jump, because I know they're looking for something. They might not have even realized yet that they were, that they turned or they stopped the conversation that they were in, or that they changed their gaze. But that's the kind of anticipation that somebody who's really well trained and somebody who's trying to provide like an up-leveled experience knows. So as soon as you see them sort of start to shift their body, you're running up to them like, what can I get you? Would you like something else? I automatically look like, do they need something? Is their drink low? Do they need a plate cleared? Are they missing their napkin? Are they missing their fork? Something like that. So that's definitely one of the tips, is that you remove friction. You remove anything make the experience anything other than just easy. Like, Now, luxury is about, now I gave the example of when I checked into the hotel, right? And so obviously they could tell I was tired, and they were like, oh, where are you coming from? And quite frankly, the nice thing was they could probably tell that I was American and had probably just come from the States, and Los Angeles being, other than Hawaii, being the furthest most west point, they knew that my trip had to be a long one. And immediately were like, oh, that's really far. And it just kind of validated what I felt, which was, yes, it is really far and I'm really exhausted. And as I say, then I got the tea. Now, how do you anticipate that? How do you use that as a host or hostess entertaining for the holidays? Well, you make sure that the first thing that your guest sees when they come through the door, whether it's an office party, a brunch, or hosting anything, is a big smile from you, welcoming them and assuring them basically that they're in the right place. And you are going to anticipate their needs. So already have a place for their coat, be ready to take their purse from them. If they've brought a hostess gift and have those amazing manners, wonderful, take that. But also know that maybe they just had trouble parking. Maybe there was a lot of traffic. Maybe they are not sure if they're in the right place, right? So it goes back to that whole anticipation of greeting them, reaffirming that they're in the right place, getting them something to drink, kind of giving them the lay of the land, maybe even introducing them to somebody that is kind of nearby that you think they would be interested in talking to. But it's about figuring out what the guest wants before they even know it. Now, another tip that great hotels get that we can all steal is luxury is more about what you don't see. Now, if you've listened to my podcasts or TV segments before, you know, or certainly have worked an event with me, you might know that I like to talk to the staff and say, hey, listen, we want to operate like we are Disneyland, right? Like Mickey Mouse never has to like sit down and rub his feet. Mickey Mouse at the Great Mouse House does not have to sit down and take a bottle of water. He doesn't have to blow his nose, all those things. Now, of course, those are all things that we have to do. Every human being has to do. But what it means is that we cast a spell. Like great entertainers or great service providers sort of have this spell cast where you temporarily are in this magical bubble of being taken care of. And let me give you an example of that. So in the powder room here in the hotel, they have, most hotels like have the, cotton swabs and, they have the shower cap or whatever, and it's kind of sitting out there. Well, they actually have this little chest on the beautiful sink. And of course I open the drawers and I'm poking around, and in it, of course, everything is perfectly branded. That goes without saying, but they have the comb and they have the shower cap and they have the cotton buds but they also have the toothbrush and the toothpaste. And it's all just so anticipatory. Like you don't have to call down and say, hey, listen, I forgot my toothbrush. Because how many times have people forgot their toothbrushes, right? And you're just like, oh, I've just been on this 16-hour, 18 or 20-hour flight. But they already anticipate it. But let's go back to that point of it's what you don't see, right? It isn't all this stuff sitting out on the counter. It's very quietly, it's all right there. And then some. I mean, as I say, they have this beautiful bamboo comb that I'd like about 12 of. But it's all there, but it's not screaming just like Mickey Mouse isn't screaming that he's tired and his feet hurt. And how great is that? And what great advice is that as a hostess, right? You, even if you, everything has been going wrong right before your guests arrive, as soon as somebody comes through that door, it is showtime. And I will tell you, this is pot, meat, kettle. Okay. I have absolutely been guilty of the kind of harumph of like, oh, we don't have enough ice, or this, I ran late with this, or I didn't get this done in time, or I think I've overcooked the chicken, something like that. But really, what I want you all to think of is how to cast a spell and create this magical environment for whatever time frame your guests are with you. And as many things as you can possibly make disappear should disappear. I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit, because even at like supposedly high end parties, like if I, go to somebody else's event, or even at hotels and things like that, that aren't particularly like luxury focused, I'm always amazed at how much of the behind the scenes kind of activity you can see. So when you go up to a bar, you don't want to see, at an event, you don't want to see all the cases of Coke and plastic wrapping the water bottles. You don't want to see the bags of ice. You don't want to see all that extra big red plastic tub where everybody puts all the drinks and stuff. It just dispels all the magic of this event and makes you realize, I don't know what else to say other than it just breaks the spell. So what do you do instead? Do you need ice that comes in bags? Of course. Do you need to chill it in some kind of tub? Of course. But what do you do instead? Well, you wrap that tub in, black Velon, which is the equivalent of like black plastic tablecloth material that you can get at Party City or anywhere. Or you wrap it in a black cloth, or, a light cloth if it's depending on where you are. And the idea is just to make it disappear so that nobody's eye is going to go to all those visual things. And you don't want to have, yes, you might have to have, you're doing screwdrivers for brunch, but you don't have to have the containers of orange juice that say Tropicana across the front of them. That immediately just takes down your event so many notches. And so what's an easy thing to do is decant the orange juice into some kind of, my God, you can get it up like the Goodwill, all kinds of different glass pitchers, or even they're like what hard alcohol or something would go in that are really inexpensive. Decant things so that there are no labels. There should be no labels, no plastic, no tags, no jars, no, God forbid, barcode from somebody just bringing something and you just slapped it on the table. So it's all those little tiny things that elevate an event so much. And while I'm on my soapbox about that, I would just like to do a small shout out and say, if your linens do not touch the floor, and they should kiss the floor, they should not be 6 inches above the floor. They should not be 2 inches above the floor. They need to touch the floor. That doesn't matter if that's your bar linens, your buffet linens, your table linens, even your high boy cocktail table linens. They need to touch the floor. They need to kiss the floor. And the only time they are not going to kiss the floor, by the way, is if they have an underlay that is kissing the floor. That's like the biggest rookie mistake. Now, another thing, which is totally off my luxury tangent, because there's not a luxury place in the world that would do this, but please, there are so few situations where a white chair of any kind should be placed. Okay. Whether it's a folding white wood, a white plastic, a white anything, it's just, just go for the natural kind of bamboo color folding chair if that's what you need to do. But do not have a white wooden chair anywhere in your world. That's just absolutely no. Okay. Now, the third thing is that luxury at the end of the day is like a soft place to land. It's like, think of it like emotional safety. Like, I know they've just thought of absolutely everything so I don't have to. Whether it's the shoe shine kit or the laying the dry cleaning form on the bed so that you can send your clothes out or send your shoes out, or anticipating and thinking that, well, I'm new to this, city, and not only giving you a map that folds up very nice and neatly, like smaller than your cell phone, but a map that's got all very clearly laid out. And then on the back of the map are all their recommendations for things they have been asked a million times. So they just get right in front of it. Like in Vietnam, one of the amazing things is you can get beautiful silk clothes, pajamas, all this kind of stuff made, suits, etc. here. And they can do it very, very fast. And so on the back, they have a bunch of their recommendations of places to do that. They've got their recommendations for jewelry. They've got their recommendations for like all the kind of fun Vietnamese handicraft, stuff like that. So they are anticipating that, sure, doesn't make their lives easier, I guess, but they're anticipating that you are going to want to shop and wander around. And this is just an amazing place to start. And then you've got this little pocket map. Now, do we all have, our phones and we can get directions? Of course. But one of the things here is you want to have a SIM card because you will get insane roaming charges. And let's say you don't have your SIM card, or let's say you don't want to have your roaming charges, or you didn't get your SIM card yet, that kind of thing, right? Then you've got all this stuff right there on the map. And then one of the things I did was I was researching where I wanted to shop and kind of just some other things. And decided I'm completely hopeless. There's not a chance in the world I'm ever going to be able to speak Vietnamese. And foreign doesn't even cut it. And I was researching the different shopping areas, right? Because I'm at the Metropole here, I'm in the old quarter, which is just beautiful. And it's by this kind of lake, and the architecture is just amazing. And for those of you who haven't been to Vietnam, it's like got this old like French feel. It's just magical. That's all I can say. And I was doing the research for where I wanted to go shopping, and I knew I was, after certain things. And so what I did was I just circled their map with their streets, which, yes, it took me quite a while to figure out the street on the internet and then the street on the map. And then I just circled it and I just put like, ceramics next to that street, or I put, silk or whatever it was. And then I didn't want to be the full tourist running around here, like, let me pull out my giant map. So what I did was I just took my phone and took a photo of the map where I had scribbled all my chicken scratch notes and circled the different streets. So I kind of had a feel for where things were, because the one thing is everybody here, of course, has their phones out. So I want you to take some of these ideas and think about how you can infuse them in your next event.